free position. Nice cut to the front and a score. Shot is saved. And the feed quickly.
That was fancy, and I don't mind it. That was well done.
Great position, top shelf, and the bounce shot finds the back of the net.
And we welcome you into the Cetera Athletic Complex, where Lac Sports Network presents the Colonial Athletic Association Women's Lacrosse Tournament here at James Madison University, Harrisonburg, Virginia, where this afternoon it's the semifinals, and we get things started with the defending champion and number 1 seed James Madison taking on the 4 Delaware. Hi everybody, so glad that you're with us. Matt Martucci and former Syracuse standout Hallie Quillen and Griggs, and what should be a fun weekend here from Harrisonburg. Hot not only describes the weather, but this top seed in James Madison. Duke's coming in having won 8 straight, and as you said in our preview, steamrolled through the season.
Really, from start to finish, I've been so impressed with James Madison. A win over North Carolina. UNC just won the ACC tournament last weekend, and JMU just firing on all cylinders. Heading into this contest, they're heavily favored and rightfully so, but Delaware really playing at an upward trajectory of late and certainly looking to make a push tonight.
There's a look at James Madison, the white with the purple. Delaware will be the blue with the white. Just had a look at our bracket, and everybody, at least if you got to see Saturday, not necessarily everybody, but everybody that was at United Stadium in Towson, looking forward to potentially a rematch Sunday between the top 2 seeds in James Madison and Towson. The Tigers and Elon still to come in what is our second matchup of the day. Taylor Carpentier is in the goal for Delaware, the reigning Defensive Player of the Week for the Blue Hens senior. And as Hallie and I can both attest to, very active, not just around the cage, but outside of it. Sometimes will come out toward midfield. Likes to pick up ground balls. She leads the conference in that category, but just a fun player to watch.
Really just one of the most exciting goalkeepers, not only in the CAA, but in the country. I personally love when a goalkeeper is active outside of their crease, sparking transition, not afraid to come out, pick off passes. She's just a fun goalkeeper to watch, and really, when she makes plays defensively, her team responds offensively. And
it's for James Madison, a first-year starter, the redshirt freshman Molly Doherty, who was an unblemished 8-0, stopping almost 51% of her shots. And oddly enough, it was about a month ago, right at this very spot, where she had her first career start. JMU with its draw control specialist in Haley Warden, the co-defensive player of the year of the conference. And Delaware gets a win with none other than Becky Gosler, their 2-time first-team All-CAA selection. Those honors coming out yesterday. But the Hens with an unforced turnover right off the bat, all of 17 seconds into this one.
Becky Gosler, it's a name that we'll say pretty often this broadcast if she has her way. She's such a strong player on that draw circle, so be sure to watch her there. And really an unfortunate turnover for Delaware against a team like JMU. JMU defense, they cause enough turnovers. You don't want to be making errant passes against them.
And here's maybe a player that doesn't get enough credit on that defense. Emma Johnson setting this up. And right through and the score. They waste no time. 46 seconds into this one. And guess who? It's their CAA Player of the Year, Kristen Gaudian, on the board.
Gaudian's she has just taken this offensive unit on her back this spring. It's been so fun to watch her. And I think that this is the type of play, when Gaudian gets this team on the board early, it gives JMU a lot of confidence.
3-goal performance the other day in the 1-goal overtime win. It did take 2 3-minute periods, but still considered just overtime according to the women's lacrosse rules the other day. Kristen Gaudian putting her stamp on that one, as both JMU and Towson responsible for the last 10 years worth of CAA championships. Could we have somebody different this year? We'll see. Interesting matchup all day between Farley and Haley Warden, and Delaware 2 for 2 with the draw control circle.
Ghostler coming up with a huge pickup there. She's just so scrappy on the 50-50 battles. Once again, not taking the draw herself. She's a really great wing player there.
Yeah, really just the do-everything player for this team. Draw control, cause turnovers, you name it. Becky Ghostler more or less does it. Definitely going to miss her in Newark. This could potentially be the final weekend of her career. Ghostler flirting with 8 meters, backs it out to D'Antonio. Delaware really picking up its play over the course of its last 2 wins, victories over William and Mary and Drexel. But again, this one evades Santaleri, and another Delaware turnover.
Great pressure there by JMU. Once again, not necessarily a caused turnover, but an errant pass, much like we saw there. JMU plays a similar backer type zone that a lot of teams employ here in the CAA, so you'll see a lot of pressure on ball, especially behind cage for against Delaware.
That was the second team all-conference selection, Hallie. Shantae Sims picking up that ground ball. She and Taylor Carpentier ended up 1 and 2 in that category in the CAA this year. And D'Antonio getting fouled by Emma Johnson. Actually asked Shelly Clays-Balcom yesterday in our phone conversation, is there somebody, despite everybody you put on the all-conference teams, that maybe deserves a little bit more recognition? And Emma Johnson was the first name out of her mouth. And Delaware again, unforced turnover. That's already the 3rd one of the game on the Blue Hens, and we played all of 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
We've seen 4 turnovers. I really think that these are some jitters. This is a big game for Delaware, and they're certainly playing like it out there, just a little nervous. I think they need to settle down, start making plays. 4 turnovers, and none of them really caused this afternoon so far.
And an interesting weekend here in Harrisonburg for the James Madison seniors, because not only do they have the CAA semis and finals, this is graduation weekend. So if you were trying to get a hotel room or the like last minute here in Harrisonburg, you were up a creek without a paddle, pretty much. 3 minutes into the first half, Madison on the board. Delaware trying to keep pace with what is the top scoring team in the CAA, a record-setting season for the JMU offense. But this defense, nothing to shake your head at, as this one run down by the midfielder Romsberg. And gets fouled by the Hens.
Romsberg doing a great job running that down. She's one of my favorite players to watch in the country. She's just such a spark plug, goes after 50-50 battles, does a lot of the work that Warden does.
And again, another one of those all-conference selections, Elena Romsberg. More or less littered the first team with a nice dodge for Warden. Bounced that one out of bounds, and the backup.
Way to go, defense!
The feeder of this offense, Katie Kerrigan. Actually, uncharacteristically, did have a goal Saturday. Basically, you could almost name anybody in the 2 starting lineups for Townsend and James Madison. You'd be able to pinpoint who scored. Definitely shared the ball a lot on Saturday. This is Gaudian once again. Back behind, and right idea, looking for Hannah Haven right on the doorstep. Haley Warden doing a nice job of being able to run that down. They maintain. And Gaudian sending it to Haven, shooting space call, and an 8-meter coming. So the Duke's already in good position with a 1-goal lead. Haven just 4 for 17, free position this year. But a decent angle on that right side, right in, and make it 5 for 18.
Great placement there by Hannah Haven, and really set up by Kristen Gaudian. Kristen did a great job. Delaware in that zone defense, so her pushing the ball kind of cross crease really made that Delaware defense move, setting Hannah Haven up for that shooting space call.
So Hannah Haven ends up with what is the 2nd goal of the day for the Dukes, who lead 2-0 here on LSN. Now just over 25 minutes left in the first half. It started with a Kristen Gaudian goal. Hannah Haven and Elena Romsberg have followed. And we're right back to the draw control circle, where Farley and Haley Warden figured a duel all day.
Let's go, Dukes!
Haley Warden, the all-time leader in James Madison history. One of the best ever to do it in the CAA as well. And jump ball and won by Warden.
Warden, you mentioned, just does a great job on the draw control, but look who she's flanked by. Kristen Gaudian, Alana Romsberg, and Warden's numbers aren't too impressive to herself. I mean, it's just the unit in general. That's what impresses me most. 64 by Gaudian, 54 Romsberg, 74 out of Warden heading into this game.
Yeah, Shelley Claes-Balcom essentially described it as their own three-headed monster. Face dodge for Hannah Haven. Over to Gaudian, and Romsberg draws the shooting space call.
Once again, Gaudian just so dangerous up there. By the way she moves the ball, you know, she's making that defense work so quickly.
Romsberg again, this time wide right on the bounce shot. Backed up by Katie Kerrigan. That's an interesting matchup behind, she and Sims. Haven doubled on the slide, tried to feed it to the middle, nearly taken away by Gosler, and finally taken out of there by the Hens.
You know, you mentioned the Sims matchup, one of the strongest defenders on the field, and that doesn't surprise me because she's just so tenacious on that crease, and Kerrigan is a player that you want to put a lot of pressure on.
Warden nearly coming up with what would have been another Delaware turnover. You talked about jitters, 7 turnovers combined in the first 6 minutes between these two. And as efficient as JMU usually is, that's not something that we're accustomed to seeing.
No, that is something that Coach Claes-Balcom is not going to be happy with at the half.
Round the horn for the Hens, Claire D'Antonio. Finding a way in is always the issue against this James Madison defense. Can you find an alley in the middle of those slides? Gosler with a nice feed, but they have to play it back out to 12. Santaleri. And got it right on the doorstep. It got the deflection in. Well, any way you can get on the board, the Blue Hens will take it.
That looks like it was a deflection off a JMU player's stick, so
Closest player, right?
we'll be interested to see which Delaware offensive player dropped their stick.
And is it Sydney Rousa? Yeah, it is.
Looks like Rouse is going to get credited with that goal, though I do think it was a deflection off a JMU defender's stick, and those are always just the worst. You know, when you go to try to help out your goalkeeper, possibly pick up the ground ball, that's a deflating play.
Well, you say the worst. Delaware offense doesn't think so. Feeling pretty good, the fact that they were able to get on the board, and I think that's the biggest key, or one of them anyway, for the Blue Hens early on. You have to stay within striking distance because this is a team that can run away with it very quickly. We've seen in the past.
Oh, absolutely. I think that really offensively, Delaware needs to do all that they can to put this JMU team on their heels.
Third draw control win of the day for the Dukes, and the second straight that was virtually clean for Haley Warden. Madison showing some of its depth. Haven playing it down. That's Morgan Hart out there coming off of what was a big game against Towson. Haven got it deflected. And Kerrigan still able to maintain, but forced that one turned over by Gosler. That's something you see Katie Kerrigan do very often.
No, but Gosler really is. She's that X-player roaming through in this Delaware zone. We've seen her get a stick on 2 passes so far.
A ground ball, a pair of caused turnovers, 2 draw controls for Becky Gosler so far. All of those things her forte throughout her Delaware career, not to mention scoring the ball too. And suddenly maybe the Hens a little bit more comfortable. D'Antonio and Santaleri. Rausa, who just had that first goal. Shot clock cut in half. Santaleri, and the caused turnover by the Dukes. And Corinne Schmidt was the one that started it all. Gaudian sends it down low. And they go wide, though, right into Carpentier's stick. That was the freshman and the all-rookie selection, Katie Chikoski.
Chikoski there, she wants that shot back, you can tell. As an attacker, I think sometimes, especially freshmen, postseason game, you get a little excited when you're releasing that ball, and especially when you're on top of the crease, just a little hitch and bury there. Carpentier just able to read her stick the entire release.
And I guess conversely, if you're the senior goalkeeper, you're thinking, hey, I got you, Rook. Not going to fool me with that after 4 years in the cage. But maintaining possession has been the toughest order of the day. DeRuggiero ends up having it taken away. Gordon running it all the way through into the attack zone. On the move. And Gosler with help on the double team, Isabel Schmidt.
Gosler lucky on that check. There was absolutely no retraction, followed through straight to the turf. More often than not, that's called a yellow card.
And Becky Gosler, for as active and as physical as she is, actually leads this Delaware team in that category, with 8 of them on the year.
She's definitely, with the amount of hustle she has in her and the game-changing plays she's made already, she's not a player you want on the sideline if you're Delaware.
And right to the front, Chikoski gets the 4th James Madison goal of the day. 4 different players, and the depth continues for the Dukes.
A great look there. Chikoski just using her height really to her advantage. I think that's what sets her apart this spring. She plays that inside cutter when doubles are falling to Haven, Gaudian, Romesburg. There's so many players on this JMU offense that really draw double teams. So she's able to get herself open in the middle, use her height to her advantage, big target in there, and most importantly, focus to get the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, that's just the 7th goal of the year, 18th point for the conference all-rookie selection. Comes from a good program, Katie Chikoski, Robinson Secondary. Both their girls and boys programs, for the most part, pretty strong just about every year.
And Liz Case, the head coach there, just does a great job with that program. And I think when you think of Virginia high school lacrosse, you think St. Stephen, St. Agnes, Bishop Ireton, some of the premier private school programs, but Robinson, one of the top programs in the country, a public high school team.
And Madison reclaiming what is now its largest lead once again. 3-goal cushion for Shelley Clay's Balcomb's Dukes. Banner year, the 16 wins that they end up coming up with. More than they've ever had in a regular season. Romesburg has been a big part of it. And as usual, just so many offensive options for the Dukes. Gaudian and Romesburg, the first time they've ever had a pair of players with 50-plus goals in a single season. Haven is no slouch either. Getting right in there, but good defensive possession for Delaware. D'Antonio emerging out of the pack.
Great ground ball pickup by D'Antonio there, and crucial defensive stop if you're Delaware. Have to take care of the ball in transition.
And we get some contact, but no call. And Madison continues in transition. Chikoski will back it out.
Looks like both teams, one was looking for the block, the other looking for the charge. Instead, no call there.
And just like in basketball, it's one of those calls. Sometimes it's bang, bang. It happens so quickly.
You know, I like that, though. If you're the referee and you're not sure if that was a block or if it was a charge, I like the no call.
Yep. Yeah, rather than maybe trying to guess and making the wrong one. Gaudian on the move and scores.
Kristen Gaudian putting on not only a shooting clinic this game thus far, but on the season. What impresses me so much about Gaudian is how accurate she is. In women's lacrosse, you want to be at 50%. You know, above 50% is fantastic. You want pretty much about the same for goalies. You know, if you hit that 500 mark as an attacker, you're happy with the way you're shooting. She puts nearly 63% of her shots in the back of the net, over 90% on goal. She is just such an effective shooter. So if you're Coach Claes Bockham, she's the girl you want shooting the ball.
Not even heavily recruited, Kristen Gaudian out of high school. It's something that we discuss quite a bit on these broadcasts. Lake Braddock product, and talking to Shelly Claes Bockham yesterday, kind of burst onto the scene before the start of their camp. And they said, you know, who is this kid?
Let's go, Duke!
Right when she arrived in Harrisonburg, has been turning heads ever since. Romesburg, what else? Runs down a draw control. Almost at the halfway point. A few minutes from there. James Madison picking up right where it left off offensively. And another score. This time Hart is on the board.
Beautiful transition work, really just off that Romesburg draw control, picking it up and immediately pivoting, finding the open player, tic-tac-toe the whole way down the field. In terms of how pretty some of these goals have been, that's what I love. I love a textbook transition goal.
Morgan Hart, who ended up with a pair the other day, 19th of the year for the senior from Guilderland Center, New York. Had the over-the-head goal the other day, one of the best ones likely this year in women's lacrosse at United Stadium. And I had called it a sky hook on the broadcast, so Shelly Claes Bockham said this week they were calling her Kareem.
That's all you. Oh, beautiful draw control there.
And Gaudian already looking for a hat trick. Through traffic, they wait for Romesburg. Gaudian on the doorstep and couldn't get the shot quite off. There was a reason for that. She gets fouled by the Hens and Maggie McCarthy.
Just a little pressure, and honestly, I don't know if that was as much of a foul of just Gaudian trying to free up her stick there and running into traffic. So lucky call, putting her on the free position hash here.
And correction, that's actually the defender Mara McNutt with the foul. Gaudian, free position, good as a goal.
Doing what she does best. Yeah, I love Gaudian, quick off the hash, but look at her release. You know, she changes planes, making it almost impossible for Carpentier to just track the stick. Right important here, look at her setup. Quick up, stick, ball down. Her stick changes 3 different planes there, putting it low past Carpentier.
So another free position goal for Gaudian, who, when she hit her 18th earlier in the year, ended up breaking her own record at James Madison. She had it last season. It was also shared back in 1998 by Julie Martinez. But came in all-time 36 career free position goals, and the 2 that she's had today have actually moved her into second place. 38 career, tied with Gail Decker, who graduated in 04 here at James Madison.
Gail Decker, one of the sport's all-time greats, so to be in that type of conversation, you know you've done something right. Already shooting 3 for 3 this afternoon, and the player that you don't necessarily want the ball butting through her stick, so you wonder, will Delaware elect to put a face guard on her, start denying her the ball?
Now that's a great point. So many options. There's another one of them. Clothesline right at the front of the cage. That's Morgan Hart.
Morgan Hart brushing herself off, and that's going to be a foul on Carpentier. That's what I thought. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a yellow card or just a block. Looks like she'll stay on the field. Lucky to get away with that, but leaving an open net. Hart
from that left spot, and right there. second one of the game for Morgan Hart. And all of a sudden, James Madison has really opened this up. What is now a 4-goal run for the Dukes. Gaudian, and Hart.
And Hart there, much easier said than done, to be honest. Scoring a goal on an open net. I think that as an attacker, you often get in your head when there's an open net. I can't remember scoring an open net goal. I think I missed almost every time. So easier said than done getting that ball in the back. And Hart has 2 off the board. Jakoski has 1 off the bench. So that's 3 goals for James Madison coming off the bench, just showcasing their depth. And I think that's going to be key. JMU, Shelley Claes-Balcom, when we spoke to her, she said, of course we want to get to Sunday. Of course we want to play Sunday. That's the goal. We talk about it all the time. We want to play in the CAA championship. And that's how you do it. You start using your legs so you have as fresh as legs you can come Sunday.
And excuse me, actually now a 5-goal run if you count the Jakoski goal that it started with. Now the question for the Blue Hens, can you come up with enough offense to just hang? It's a tall order. Towson, the team in the conference known for having the top defense, but James Madison pretty much an equal there. And maybe something with the way that the Dukes score that maybe not talked about even enough. Gosler from 8, backs it out. Has to lob it down low. Excellent feed, but Doherty is right there for the save on the doorstep on Bedard.
Oh, beautiful play there. I mean, we mentioned in transition earlier, that offensive possession, tic-tac-toe. And if you're Sarah Bedard, you want that shot back. Just a little fake in there.
Yeah, instead, just try to go straight on. Haven crossed the zone. And quickly taken away. Hens come up with the turnover. Isabel Schmidt. But now can they successfully clear? And the answer is no. Madison with the turnover. Haven on the move. Transition, bounces this one just wide. And Hart will have the backup.
Good job, defense! Way to go, Molly!
I thought that was going to be one of those situations where you talk about it as a 2-goal swing. Instead of it being maybe a 6-goal deficit for Delaware, it's an 8-goal deficit for the Hens, but Madison unable to capitalize, at least momentarily. Warden outside of 12.
Haley Warden checking back in.
Romesburg, surgical, going right through that defense. Out of bounds on the bounce. They'll get the backup though again. This time Jakoski. Running cutters. And McDaniel, coming off of what was a career game against Towson, ended up taking some contact on that attempt. Madison maintains again.
Taking contact but resetting the possession clock, so that's huge for JMU. They'll have another fresh 90 seconds off of that shot on goal.
And so potentially demoralizing for the Hens.
Kristen Gaudian not in on this offensive possession, and Haley Warden checking back in. So Coach Claes-Balcom, she knows who her playmakers are, and she wants to make sure that their legs are fresh for Sunday.
And a Haven right of the 8-meter. And wanted to set it up. Instead, this goes wide. And that's some big-time contact. That's Santalari for Delaware.
Rebecca Tooker
Yep,
for James Madison, and the two patting each other there. Both just knocking the wind out of each other, going for a ground ball.
And you notice Romesburg got out of the fray there just in time. Otherwise, there would have been some more additional contact. Halfway gone in the first half, Matt Martucci and the former Syracuse standout, Hallie Quillen and Griggs. What is a wonderful spring day. 80 plus degrees, yeah.
For as hot as it was today, The sun just starting to set, a little breeze in the air, perfect weather to be playing lacrosse today down here.
And the wind always is a factor. You might be able to hear it whipping through our headsets. We are, in fact, outside rather than in an interior press box location. D'Antonio playing it back, Santaleri, and the tough pass. Looking for it coming across the zone, and another Delaware turnover. That's already the 9th for the Hens. 4 of them have been unforced. Haven might have gotten that deflected by Sims, and she did. And Hart will trigger the restart.
Delaware fans not happy about that call. They thought that it was a JMU turnover.
Playing feeder. This time it was Hart looking for McDaniel, cutting to the cage. Carpentier ready. Taylor Carpentier, even with the 7-goal deficit, confident enough to bring it all the way out. But looking for some help.
Delaware needs to try to get open. Possession clock just ticking down. They want to give themselves as much time as possible to get some offense going.
They get it right to the front, and Gosler, quick trigger, out of bounds on the backup. That's all of the 3rd shot on the day for Delaware. All 3 of them amid on goal. But minus 11 in the shot category, minus 6 in terms of shots on goal. Just tells you how much James Madison, as indicated by the score, has dominated here in the first half. More or less every category. Turned it over, though, on an almost equal plane.
JMU putting so much pressure on behind the net. Delaware there doing a good job.
And Rouse had nothing on that.
Great job switching its point of attack there, but JMU, just the minute the ball moves, there's so much pressure on the stick of these Delaware attackers.
Haven lost this one, got it back. Get it into the attack zone, and what is a very comfortable place, just a comfortable situation for the Dukes. 7-goal lead, more than halfway gone here in the first half on their home field. Warden and Haven round the horn. What is the Delaware zone? Gaudian crossed the way. Haven, good slide for the Hens. Santaleri playing a little two-way. And a whistle, and
looks like that's going to be a 3-second violation.
Yep. And we talked about young depth. Charlotte Haggerty for Madison tried to sneak that one through Carpentier, nearly did. But the veteran keeper for Delaware with another save.
And JMU, that really is the story. They're such a veteran-heavy team, and I love their experience all over the field, but they have a lot of freshmen and sophomores with McDaniel playing huge roles for this team as well. So it's fun to see how their youth has developed, learning from some senior leadership this spring.
Almost 2/3 of the way past here in the first half. Early on, James Madison with a big first half for both Gaudian and Hart. They've combined for 5 of what are the 8 JMU goals. Romesburg, Haven, Chikoski have also scored. You hate to be on the opposite side of a seed line and actually have to see the Dukes in tournament play this year.
I think it's going to be fun to watch. I think JMU, in my opinion, they're a top 4 seed. So if they win through weekend 1, they'll host 2 consecutive weekends in the NCAA tournament.
And what a way for some of these seniors to be able to go out. Only 15 seconds now inside of that left on the Delaware shot clock. Rausa, Gosler with 5. Delaware crowd saying shoot. There's really nowhere to go though.
Haley Warden causing the turnover as time expires with some Towson players trickling into the stadium.
Haven on the run. And this one got deflected and ends up back out. D'Antonio on the move for Delaware. Santaleri through the midfield area. Rousa in transition with the face dodge. But just the recovery is so quick for the Dukes. There's almost no free space when it comes to real estate. At least not for long. Now transition with Gaudian back behind and Morgan Hart.
Wide open, Hallie Dunkel right there in the 8-meter.
Way to go, defense!
Maybe it's because of the flurry of Madison goals on that 5-goal run that they've had. Seems like this first half has absolutely flown.
It has been. JMU has just been, they've been attacking this game on a mission. Offensively, defensively, they've really disallowed Delaware to get in any sort of rhythm whatsoever, and in between the 30s coming up with key ground balls and causing turnovers.
Sims able to get it back Delaware's way. Something to point out for Delaware, and something I think we discussed the last time we had the Hens, young defensive unit that they have. Schmidt, McNutt, Sims all going to be back next year. They'll graduate Loudermilch. Comstock is only a junior. So it's a very young team that Catering-Linville has.
And they've done a great job so far. JMU, 9 turnovers. That's very uncharacteristic for the Dukes, 7 of which were caused.
Dukes come up with one, though, themselves at this end, what they've done just about all afternoon long. But Santaleri, not giving up on the redefend, came up with a turnover and gets fouled. And 9 Madison turnovers, 7 of them have been caused by Delaware. But just not a whole lot of offensive opportunities for the Hens today. And this time the double team, Corinne Schmidt comes out. 12th Delaware turnover, 8th caused turnover for James Madison.
Lucky back up there, another errant pass.
Is inside of 7 minutes. Kristen Gaudian wasted no time, 46 seconds into this game. Gave James Madison the lead, a lead that the Dukes have not relinquished. The closest Delaware could get was 2 goals. Sydney Rousa, the lone tally for the Hens. Towson and Elon still awaiting in our second semifinal. Sims coming up with a ground ball and fouled.
We've been scoreless for nearly 10 minutes now, and JMU, I think, needs to take care of the ball a little bit more offensively. Same for Delaware. A lot of jitters in this game. Unforced turnovers, both sides.
I think the question, and we'll certainly ask her for Catering-Linville, your defense, you just said it, has come up with a bunch of minutes of play here where they've been scoreless. But now how do you manufacture offensive opportunities against a team that just frankly doesn't allow them?
JMU, where they've really shined so far today, 8 goals, certainly very impressive. Their defense has really just gotten out there, swarmed Delaware's feeders. Look, quick double behind the goal. Sarah Bedard not able to get anything off.
This time, though, nice dodge for Bedard. But the errant pass, Santaleri with the shot clock more than halfway gone. Excellent feed down low. There's contact. And we think this should be a shooting space call.
Looks like it's going to be a little too much
contact, yeah.
Contact there on the shot attempt. Katie Cadigan getting that floating hash, which is not my favorite. Not much of an angle there.
And we'll not have much of an angle again. Ends up wide right, and Bedard will back it up. You can see why it's not your favorite hash.
You know, those are the hashes, the floating hash, in my opinion. You're better off just pulling it out, trying to really reverse field, get that defense moving quickly.
Maybe you get a cutter. And that one almost trickles in via deflection. Doherty ends up coming up with the save. But they turn it over again. That's the 12th Madison turnover after Delaware gives it away for what was the 14th time.
Another uncharacteristic turnover by James Madison. Doherty looking for Kristen Gaudian, who was wide open, just not enough power on the clear.
And honestly, that's really the only way Delaware's gotten a lot of its opportunities. Just the James Madison mistakes. Otherwise, Dukes have pretty much dominated every category. Plus 10 on shots, plus 7 on shots on goal, plus 4 at the draw control circle. Here's another one. Run down to the corner. And difficult clear, but able to execute with Gaudian. Transition for the senior. Playing back behind. Little two-game with Gaudian. And trying to get McDaniel involved. And it trickles out toward Haven outside, well outside of 12 meters. Contact and a foul coming on the Dukes, and the quick restart.
I like that look. You know, McDaniel wide open, but I wish Kristen Gaudian would have taken that shot. You know, I think that she's just such a calming presence for this JMU offense that's been a little erratic of late. You know, she's the type of player when that ball hits the back of the net, the shoulders start to calm down a little bit more.
Type of kid who, if she ever makes a mistake, you end up being surprised. Just so efficient offensively. We talked about her free position percentage, but just in every facet of her game. Nice cut coming across the body and off of the pipe that time for Farley. That one hit the left pipe. And quick transition as a result for Madison. Gaudian and Romsberg. And Chikoski. Call going against the Hens.
Chikoski, pressure on both sides of this hash. Some numbers on the other side. It'll be interesting to see if she does decide to pull out.
Instead, goes on the bounce shot, just their second free position opportunity of the year. Carpentier got the deflection. Rausa coming up to help with the clear. I don't think you're going to get more than one score if you're Delaware before the end of the half, but if you can at least get one, you feel good about the way you've played defensively. And if you could somehow cut into this deficit, maybe you get some momentum coming into the second half.
100%. You know, I think success here will carry momentum.
But another turnover. 16 of them. And that the sixth one that wasn't caused.
Numbers here for JMU, but another errant pass.
Sims this time coming away with it.
29 turnovers so far in this half, both teams combined.
And two teams that clearing the ball. Now Delaware not the best in the CAA, but over 80%. Madison coming in almost bulletproof at 91, which is what you'd expect from a team that's in the top 10 in the NCAA. On a breezy afternoon, but beautiful here from Harrisonburg. Rausa sends this one over the top. And trying to anticipate, and James Madison is able to do just that and knock it into the stick of Doherty. And the Dukes, if they so choose, can now hold this for the final couple of shots here at this end of the field.
Less than a minute. Shot clock off on the field. You know, I would like to see James Madison try to set something up, produce under pressure.
Romesburg with 30 seconds left. Gaudian already the first half hat trick. The roll dodge for Kerrigan, always looking for some place to feed. Warden is a good place to go, and shooting space call, 8-meter coming. Dead center for Haley Warden. Warden along with Gaudian, the top 25 to Wharton nominee. On the move and scores right before the half.
Haley Warden breaking what was 17 plus minutes of scoreless lacrosse, and she would be the one to do it. You know, Coach Glaze-Balcom, she said, Haley just does it all for us. She's really the player that this team surrounds itself around. She does a little bit of everything for us. She's not flashy anywhere. She's just so steady and consistent.
Well, a reminder that what is a half hour after the conclusion of our first game, our second semifinal, 2 seed versus 3 seed. As it's the third straight year that we'll see the second seed Towson and the number 3 Elon. Phoenix edging the Tigers in last year's semi before eventually falling to JMU in the title game. And that scheduled for 6:30. Well, it still depends on what time this one ends, though the way it's going, I think 6:30 seems reasonable.
Absolutely, and we'll hope we get a full game in.
Yeah, that's the question. About a 50 to 60% chance of rain and lightning coming in the 8 o'clock hour as we wrap up this first half. Romesburg with one more chance and got it off, and that's how the first half will end, which is where most of the half had been played. In, unfortunately, the Blue Hen attack zone. James Madison, 5 different players accounting for what is 9 goals. And the top-seeded Dukes with an 8-goal lead. Stats, highlights, plenty more coming. Send it to the LSN Broadcast Center back in Boston. Farley at the circle. Once again, Delaware the blue with the white. Madison the white with the purple. Romesburg nearly picking up right where she left off, but that squirted ahead, and Delaware starts the second half with what is the first draw control. Hens getting just the Sydney Rousa goal. D'Antonio backs it out. Santaleri, who was very active on senior day in that big Sunday win over William and Mary.
And the pair of them really just connecting so well with each other. But JMU defensively really checking in on those players that like to play quarterback, like to set up offense, and sending a lot of pressure their way throughout.
Yeah, haven't heard from a lot of this Delaware offense this afternoon. Mia DeRuggiero, who we talked about quite a bit the last time we had the Hens, hasn't so much been existed for their offense. Good run, though, here. D'Antonio with probably the best shot of the day, honestly.
And Haley Warden, I loved the way she approached there. If she approached square on, she would have been in shooting space, but she approaches from an angle, causes a bad shot, picks up the ground ball. Business as usual for her.
You can't see them on your screen, but some darker clouds potentially rolling in on one side.
Don't say that.
Well, we're going to hope that they're just dark in color and not what they actually bring. That there isn't, in fact, rain involved. Carpentier able to get this in the back of the netting.
Katie Kerrigan, pass knocked down there. We haven't seen her get involved too much today. which is rare, leading this team in assists.
Yeah, it has just the one on the Tchaikovsky goal, which was her 43rd of the year. Obviously, what has been part of the forte for Katie Kerrigan since she arrived in Harrisonburg. Crazy thing is about James Madison, and I don't think Coach Clays Baucom would sign up for this, but you are good enough defensively, the way you've limited Delaware, that you probably wouldn't even have to score this whole half if it so happened that way. You don't want it to happen that way.
No, I think that if the game continues to go in JMU's favor, I think it's actually very important for this team to score and really work through its offense where it struggled in the first half, try to execute accordingly, correctly, really work out the kinks before Sunday's game.
Delaware almost lost it. Santalari with the shot clock dwindling. It's down to 10. Trying to feed middle of the zone. Gosler, jump ball in the middle of it. And it doesn't last long. They waste no time up the other end of the field. And Haven wide with this, but the backup will come.
McDaniel right there. I thought Haven was going to give it another one pass.
Warden in the depth of this James Madison unit. They get Romesburg right on the doorstep, but double teamed on that slide. And we get the Delaware turn. Delaware calls turnover.
Great defense there by Delaware.
And that was the double D'Antonio and Gosler.
And D'Antonio just doing a great job there, drawing the charge, getting position, not moving her feet. Romesburg trying to push through a little too much.
Gosler and Santalari. Now, if you're looking for victories for the Blue Hens, you've kept one of the best offenses in the country at bay for the better part of more than the half that is now carried into the second half. But this end is where it's been the problem. They challenge Doherty. Santalari shut off. And another save for the redshirt freshman from Alexandria, Virginia. That's the 5th one of the game for Doherty, who honestly, because of the way that this defensive unit has played, hasn't had to do much.
You know, she's played incredibly well. 4 saves, only 5 shots on goal. She's really been, the sleeper, the dagger in this game. When Delaware's been able to generate some offense, she's been there to close the door.
And funny enough, when we first had Shelley Clays Baucom and the Dukes on our air, that blowout Sunday win over Drexel, as they get another attempt here from Romesburg that trickles away, but they maintain the possession. We were talking about, players that they might be developing. And Doherty wasn't quite on that list just yet. She had just been penciled in to start coming off of what was a Friday game that weekend, but has really emerged since then. This is career start number 9 for her. Shooting space call on the Hens. Haven will get the 8-meter. I think rain we can deal with, right? It's just no lightning.
We can deal with rain. Lightning will affect.
That could ruin our night. Could ruin a lot of people's nights. Warden a roll dodge and another shooting space call. 8-meter coming.
Talk about some of the low angle hashes. Warden straight look coming down on Carpentier.
And only 3 for 17 on the year for Warden. And Carpentier got the deflection. This one trickles out, run down by Isabel Schmidt. Got another Delaware turnover. Bedard lost it. Romesburg shot out of a cannon through that defense, but Carpentier taking it away. Big play from the senior keeper to keep this where it is at an 8-goal game. Redefend for Gaudian.
JMU, I mean, if you're Delaware, a positive you're taking out of this is how long you've been able to keep JMU off the board. You know, you've put pressure on, you've caused turnovers, Carpentiers made some big saves. With the exception of Warden's goal, we're looking at, you know, the final 17 minutes of the first half, first 7 in the second. Scoreless lacrosse.
And something that if this doesn't end up going the Blue Hens' way, you can use as a building block for the start of next season.
And a huge opportunity for whomever does win this second half. A tale of the tape. Look at what Delaware did to get in there and frustrate this JMU team.
Eight-meter for the Hens. Bedard in there, and the second time for the Hens today. So Rousa and Bedard make this what's a 7-goal game.
Get it back, Dukes!
And you know, we say 7 goals, that's really very doable in the time frame that Delaware has remaining in this half.
– 25th of the year for Sarah Bedard. 29th point. And actually, that's who you want there. She's their most high-efficiency free position shooter. 50%, 7 of 14. It's not a great Blue Hen team on the 8-meter. But she's one of them that particularly excels for Catering Linville's club.
And to get the ball past Doherty the way she's been playing, especially of late, you're going to need good offensive sets, great decisions out of the shot, and right there you got that. So I think that this shot gives Delaware a little bit of life as they head back to the draw circle.
McDaniel and Caroline Farley. And what was almost a clean win for James Madison, but the contact from Delaware. Foul on the Hens. What is their 17th of the game?
Charlotte Haggerty, Maddie McDanielin, Romsberg and Warden on the sideline. So, you know, despite the lack of offensive numbers getting put up, still JMU electing to reserve legs for Sunday.
Haggerty at the 8-meter. Gosler with what is the shooting space violation. %60 on free positions this year for Haggerty, who's part of the future of this program. And 5-hole, and her first one of the day.
Haggerty, a much-needed strike for this Dukes offense, and really starting it from end to end, picking up that draw control, drawing the foul, finishing her ground ball. She was one of the top recruits out of the high school game.
Way to go, Charlotte!
Madison roster.
10th one of the year for the freshman from Bel Air, Maryland. John Carroll program. And just like that, Madison has it back to where it was at the break. Still, though, have to feel good if you're the Hens. Both of the goals in this large window where they've seemingly been even with the Dukes have been free positions.
And really, with the exception of that first half it's been tit for tat here. You know, it has been both of these teams exchanging blows.
McDaniel getting it started, transition right off of the circle. More Morgan Hart back onto the field, already with what is a strong afternoon, pair of goals for her. Back-to-back multi-goal games carrying over from Towson. Kerrigan this time cross-zone feed, but anticipated. And a turnover, and then a foul on James Madison. Schmidt was the one with the anticipation.
Unlucky foul there for James Madison. I liked the pressure.
Dukes cause another turnover.
Their 13th caused turnover of the afternoon. Delaware has 12 too.
And that time Caroline Sedanowicz, who probably honestly doesn't get enough credit because of the Haley Wardens of the world, but one of the leaders of this defense, one of the upperclassmen, along with Rebecca Tooker, Corinne Schmidt.
Warden still on the sideline. James Madison really showcasing their depth right now.
I mean, I think that says a lot about your prospects this year, and honestly every year under Shelley Claes-Balkum with your depth, but this year in particular with the season that they've had going into the tournament, that they can in fact do this. You can sit players down and you can still be up in your own conference tournament like this.
You know, I think it's smart. I think it's a smart play, absolutely.
And there's Gaudian coming across for what is her fourth of the day.
Once again, shooting 100% on the afternoon. Just such a force when she's shooting the ball. Of the top performers here, you know, you look at Gaudian, Romsberg, Haven, Warden, McDaniel, Kerrigan. Gaudian's shot percentage much higher. The only player of that group that is shooting above 500 is Elena Romsberg, but Gaudian still coming into this game shooting 63%. Just a great job ducking in there, protecting her stick, shooting right over Carpentier's shoulders.
Potential danger zone for the Blue Hens season. One more Madison goal. And we get the running clock. Gaudian up to 61 goals, 75 points on the year. And it's honestly about as an efficient 61 goals as you could possibly have. Today, 4 goals on 4 shots. And overall, what's 61 on 94 shots, 86 shots on goal for the year. They're gonna miss her here.
McDaniel with another draw control. You know, if Haley Warden's not picking them up to herself, McDaniel's a great option as well.
Nice feed, Haven to Hart.
Great connection there, and Hart start to finish. I love the way she's watching the Delaware defense, watching how they're moving. She sees, you know, what everyone talks about, look for the ponytail. The minute you see your defender's head turn, you know you're open, you know you're going to sneak past, and a quick hitch before she shot the ball. Beautiful placement. You know, that's my favorite. You know, you don't need to shoot fancy behind the back when you're wide open there. She just does a great job here. Hitch, very quick, low shot there.
Well, since that Haggerty free position, 2 more, Gaudian getting 1, Hart becoming the second player with at least a hat trick today for the Dukes. 21st goal of the year for Morgan Hart. Hannah Haven gets her 23rd assist. And Catering Linville wanting to talk this over. If you happen to just fire up the LAC Sports Network app, or if you're watching on the site or wherever it happens to be, Matt Martucci, former Syracuse standout, Hallie Quillen and Griggs. And what is now a 10-goal lead for James Madison. Just to summarize the game, domination in almost every facet for the Dukes. Have outshot Delaware by 17, 11 on goal. Have won the draw control circle 80% of the time. Have been efficient on their clears, as they typically are. The only place where they've struggled is turning over the ball, which is uncharacteristic for Shelley Claes-Balkum's club.
Very uncharacteristic. When you look at the amount of turnovers, James Madison, 18 turnovers. In a typical game, they're not turning the ball over that often at the end of 60 minutes. So I think that if you're looking at the next 20 minutes, 19, 50-second left on the clock. Try to play as clean as possible. You're likely advancing to Sunday, though that is a lot of time. So go out there, execute accordingly, draw up your plays, work on what you can to advance and just clean it up.
Yeah, I would think something that when you review this maybe tomorrow, you can be happy with. You could say, hey, these last 15 minutes, we got better. Or, we ended up improving on what we couldn't do at the end of the first half.
I think it's just so important for any team in the postseason. Play as clean as you can and finish strong.
Now, right now, what is inside at 20 minutes left on the Delaware season, the numbers have more or less told the truth for the Blue Hens this year in terms of how they score. Every one of their wins, they have scored 10 or more goals. All but one of their losses held under 10. And today, just a clinic by the James Madison defense. 13 caused turnovers. And what is a very veteran-laden unit with the addition of the redshirt freshman goaltender in Doherty.
Veteran and hungry. I mean, Tooker, 5 caused turnovers, Sedanowicz, 4, Schmidt, 3. I mean, this defensive unit, again, we talk about Towson. We mentioned the players that are coming up next, Olivia Conti, Tiana Walfer. They love to get out and cause turnovers, but JMU, not so fast. Me too.
And a chance to do it once again on their home field on Sunday, with this being graduation weekend. Not sure if it just brought back memories, Howie, watching people walk around campus cap and gown, or if it made me feel old, or both.
Nice that they're.
I guess both.
So nice that they're hosting, though, for graduation weekend. I actually missed graduation. We were traveling in the NCAA tournament. We were down at Georgetown.
Do you remember who was your graduation speaker? Who was it supposed to be?
Jamie Dimon.
Okay. We beat you there. We had Billy Joel a few years earlier, but he didn't say much, as you might expect. He was entertaining, though.
Did he sing?
Actually, he did toward the end.
Well, now I'm very jealous.
Just about a bar of one bar of a song that he made up about Syracuse. But yeah, that's what I remember. Centera Park here in Harrisonburg, as this is semifinal number 1 of what is 2. Elon and Towson still to follow. Interesting to see if we're going to end up seeing what was one that was like the first matchup, as we add another one for Gaudian here to make this an 11-goal lead for James Madison.
Gaudian continuing 5 for 5 now, just putting on a clinic. We talk about her shot percentage. That's skyrocketing coming out of this game if she keeps it up. It's been interesting that Delaware hasn't denied her the ball. She's just been such a big part of this offense. Certainly a lot of threats by JMU, but if you look at how she's helped this offense, a hand in 5 of the 13 goals, but she's also been that pivotal player, really reversing the ball, catching this Delaware zone defense on its heels. I would not be surprised if Elon or Towson, whomever should advance, elects to put a face guard on Kristen Gaudian on Sunday.
Running clock from here, as it now has been, an 11-goal lead for James Madison. Who would you go with? If it happens to be Towson, is it automatically Conti? You would probably think it is, right?
She doesn't really face guard a bunch, and I don't think that would be the best call. Okay. You need her off ball. You need her causing turnovers, picking up the garbage, possibly Walper.
And again, adding to the total, add Maddie McDaniel to the growing list of Madison scorers. Back-to-back goals for the Dukes, who now have 5 in the second half and a 12-goal lead.
Maddie McDaniel, a huge reason why they've been on such a tear of late. She's been dominating the draw controls. She's got 5 this afternoon. She's just such a tall target in there, too. I mean, there's just so much height on this roster. Tchaikovsky, McDaniel. Gaudian's a great target in there as well. But when you have a player like Maddie McDaniel streaking through the 8-meter, stick open, she's just such an easy target. And her poise when she's releasing the ball offensively is so impressive as well.
Coming off a 4-goal game on what was 8 shots in that win over Towson, which in all the women's lacrosse I've done, probably the best collegiate game or one of them I've ever seen. Just the way that Towson was able to come back, able to benefit from what was another yellow card and a man-up situation, where they were able to put together a 3-goal run late over the last 4 minutes of regulation, force overtime. But the question is, will we have it again on Sunday?
You know, Towson JMU, every single year it's such a battle. It's really emerged as the game to watch in the CAA, but that was the game to watch in the country that last weekend. You know, I just think that both of these teams, whether they win this tournament or not, they have proven that they are worthy of an NCAA at-large bid, and in my opinion, they've both proven that they are worthy of a first-round hosting opportunity.
Just realized, Hallie, with the way this ends, second game's supposed to come a half hour after the first. Is there potential that we could start earlier than 6:30 on the second one?
No, I don't think so. I think that once you have a set time, these players, these coaches, they've adjusted. They've made sure they've eaten accordingly. I don't think anything will be moved up here.
Then you stick to the script. Figured, having been in a few of these situations, you would be the one to ask there.
I've only played late. I've never had an early start. Last year, both of these games overtime. And it's always tough to be the following game of overtime. You know, all you want to do is get on the field, especially in the postseason, and you're waiting and
yeah, there won't be a whole lot of waiting, I don't think, for the second one. Towson beat Elon by 6 the first time around. Right through the defense for James Madison. But the Dukes end up losing it. That was Logan Brennan, so they're already into a lot of their backups. Shelly Clays-Balcom knowing 12-goal lead, make it 11. There's Farley with her first tally of the day. DeRuggiero with the assist. Puts Caroline Farley into double digits for goals on the year, her 10th.
able to stop the JMU momentum there. Great transition end to end. Farley just doing a great job changing the plane on her shot. It seems that the most success against Doherty today has come low. And that's not a knock on Doherty. Most attackers find success when they shoot low. You know, it's not the pretty shot, but it's certainly the most effective shot.
Delaware going to switch it up at the draw control circle. And Catering Linville trying to build some depth, maybe with some reps for next season. Brittany Young out there against McDaniel.
Brittany Young from Gainesville, Florida. I love seeing, you know, the longer we do this, I love seeing the non-traditional areas popping up on Division I college rosters.
I think Gainesville, is that where they're having the Big East?
That the Big East tournament is at the University of Florida. Denver upset Georgetown yesterday, so Denver headed to the championship game, who will play host Florida. They beat Marquette.
Violation on the Hens and Young. Interesting, this late in the game, though, to, in fact, see Haley Warden still out there.
Definitely interesting. You know, I think when you have a lead like this, you have such a big game on Sunday, you want to make sure your marquee players have fresh legs, but you also want to make sure that they aren't injured. They don't, you know, tweak anything out there. So I think at this juncture, I won't be surprised if you start seeing Warden and some of these big players, especially defensively, start making their way off the field.
Big time contact. That with Sims.
That's going to be a yellow card. She'll be sidelined for 2 minutes. Last week in the ACC tournament, we saw a red card.
Yeah, those don't happen very often.
No, I can't. The last red card I saw, it was actually when I was in college. But the difference between a yellow and a red card, even if you have 2 yellow cards, it doesn't necessarily mean you have a red card. You can still return to play next game. If you do receive a red card, you automatically are ineligible to play in your next game. So in addition to your team being man down for 2 minutes, you cannot return to that game and you cannot return to the following game.
Yeah, and that's a big deal this late in the year if something like that does end up happening. Running clock continues. Shooting space call against James Madison.
Eat it up, Molly!
Gosler playing in what's her final 11 minutes of collegiate lacrosse. What has been a special career. And adds to it with a postseason goal.
Such an exciting player to watch. She's certainly been one of the best to ever put on a Delaware jersey.
Let's get it back!
And a player, you know, a lot like Haley Warden. She gets it done offensively, but when you talk about Becky Gosler, it's what she does all over the field. She's scoring goals like she did right there, but she's picking up draw controls. She's forcing cause turnovers. She is the first slide always defensively. She's a force in transition, and she's been a blast to cover these last few years in the CAA.
Her first goal in what's 3 shots today, has a ground ball, 4 cause turnovers, 3 draw controls. That has been her stat line today. And exactly what you would expect. Talked about her at the top of the broadcast. 2-time all-first team selection. Also a former CAA all-rookie from her freshman year back in 2015. Next Delaware goal will shave off the running clock.
Gosler again. We just finished talking about her. She comes up with the draw control.
And which is now her 5th of the day. James Madison with what's a takeaway. Plenty of those today for the Dukes. Transition, top shelf and a goal. It's Linnea Hughes. Part of that second wave in the midfield. That's her 2nd goal of the season.
Does a great job there setting herself up in fast break. She knows exactly where she needs to be to get open for Hannah Haven, and beautiful shot placement there. A little dip to the midsection, right over Carpentier's shoulders.
Hannah Haven gets credit with the assist. So Linnea Hughes, who's a sophomore, same high school as Haley Warden. Or actually, same area, I should say. 2 different ones, Great Valley and Garnet Valley. But in that Malvern, Glen Mills general area.
I always get those confused in high school coverage for Inside Lacrosse when we're doing the Iowa Women Power Rankings, especially in the last couple of years. They both have great programs.
And they also have Valley in their names.
And they're also very similar.
See, now I don't feel as bad for flubbing it.
That's going to be a yellow card again. Starting to get a little chippy out there. Officials want to make sure that it doesn't get chippier, so they're starting to call these unreleased follow-throughs. A little too much contact. They're starting to pull yellow cards. It's important to note when there is a yellow card on the field, it doesn't matter if there's 1 second left on the possession clock. That's resetting to a full 90.
And all in all, down to our last 8 minutes. It's a James Madison team that, as far as the preseason rankings, 16 and 17 across the 3 polls. As we get a whistle, Delaware will call timeout. Dukes, as of this week, 5th, and 3rd. As far as the coaches, the media, and then the Nike US Lacrosse magazine, top 20. But the top seed here, the CAA, of course, Towson, preseason 19, 20-1 poll, and then receiving votes at a 3rd. And the Tigers 8th, 7th, and 9th across the 3 polls. So 2 top 10 teams in the CAA, which as a conference in the top 4 in RPI as a whole.
And JMU headed into last weekend's action. They were the 4th in many polls, in the IWLCA poll, in the media poll. They were holding steady at 4 for weeks, but North Carolina's win over a then undefeated Boston College team catapulted UNC over JMU. The irony is JMU actually has the head-to-head win over
Against
UNC.
North Carolina, yeah.
So definitely an interesting poll there, but really the rankings, they're trivial at this point. The NCAA often goes by RPI, and they do take into account head-to-head wins, how you finished the season. Do you have any losses? Are they, quote, bad losses to unranked teams? So that's what's going to be taken into consideration on Sunday, not the IWLCA, the media polls. Coaches will tell you that it's great to be ranked. They love to receive credit for the resumes they've put together, but the seeding we'll see come Sunday are probably going to look a lot different than the polls we see right now.
A reminder that semifinal number 2 of this CAA tournament coming up next right here on LSN. 2nd seeded Towson and the number 3 seed Elon. Of course, the Phoenix edging the Tigers in last year's semifinal by a goal. Needed overtime before falling to James Madison in the title game. That game scheduled for 6:30, depending on what time this one ends. But I think based on this, we're going to go off without a hitch, provided I just knocked on the table here that the weather actually cooperates. But every game of both of the CAA tournaments live right here, only on LSN.
And I'm so happy we'll be here for Championship Sunday this year.
Yeah, this is a good town, a good place, a lot of energy going on in Harrisonburg this weekend, as we mentioned before with James Madison graduation. But even if it wasn't, there's certainly enough to do and enough history in this town and the surrounding area, the Shenandoah Valley, that we could find ways to keep ourselves occupied tomorrow.
And of course, a lot of lacrosse going on. There are 14 conferences in women's lacrosse, 12 conference tournaments happening this weekend. The majority will crown a champion on Sunday. Certainly a few in action tomorrow. We mentioned the Big East. They'll crown their championship on Saturday in Gainesville. Give the selection committee a little bit more time to take into consideration what's going on in the grand scheme of the bracket.
And in case you were wondering, Hallie Quillen and Griggs will be working her full-time job all day long tomorrow, watching a lot of those games and scores.
As the women's editor, this is I always joke around, my busiest weekend of the year, but my most exciting weekend. I love conference tournament. I love the way that, I love the upsets.
Nothing like it. College basketball has March Madness. We have May Madness.
We do. We have that is exactly what we call it. We call it our May Madness. Our Super Bowl is always Memorial Day weekend. And really 2 of the teams leading that Memorial Day favorite discussion call the CAA home. JMU and Towson.
Seeding-wise, where do you think, your best guess as far as where both of them might end up numbers-wise?
It was funny. I was talking to a few friends who are also college coaches. They'll remain nameless right now. They were asking me, where do you think that will fall? Where do you think that some of these teams will fall? I think that right here we see Hannah Haven with another goal. The irony, Haven wearing 4, I think JMU will be the 4 seed. If they win this weekend, I think that they will put themselves in not only that first round host position, but second round. So hosting the quarterfinals as well if they win through.
There's a look at Haven right on the doorstep of the crease.
Great finish there. She's been looking for the goal today.
Way to go, Molly!
Syracuse area product, Cicero North Syracuse, or up there, they call it CNS High School. Hannah Haven, who again, because of the depth of this James Madison program across the board on offense, maybe doesn't quite get the recognition she deserves, but definitely part of their big three on offense, their big 3 or 4.
And Haven, she's not just a goal scorer, she's a distributor too. So she's not afraid to really draw that double team and get work done, really distributing and putting the ball in the back of the net. And the thing about Haven is you're going to see her name a lot next year. She's playing behind her entire career, a very talented class just a year ahead of her.
Foul there on Hallie Dunkel. Running clock continues down to our final 5 minutes. Stick around a half hour after this one. Towson and Elon as Sonia LaMonica's Tigers looking for a rematch. Second time in what would be 8 days against these defending champion James Madison Dukes.
And we mentioned Towson. You know, I think that they right now, if they win tonight, they are in the conversation of hosting. If they win Sunday, they definitely are. But I still think James Madison does host.
Gosler with another 8-meter and another goal. So team honors today for the Hens for Becky Gosler, and that's fitting because she's one of those players that has been a staple of Catering Linville's program over the last 4 years.
Gosler, obviously no surprise. I think that in this game, she's landed herself on the all-tournament team.
5-hole and able to beat Ellie Harmeyer. So no more Doherty. And that would be 2 straight years on the all-tourney squad for Becky Gosler if she does happen to end up there. Definitely enough of a stat line, you would think, with what she's done just in all facets of the game. A year ago for Becky Gosler, 8 different statistical categories among NCAA Division I women's lacrosse players. She finished in the top 100 in all 8.
It's incredible, and she'll take over draw duties. You know, you see a lot of Delaware players coming in and out of this game. 3 minutes left. Gosler's not leaving the field.
Certainly going to finish what she started. Catering Linville's Blue Hens, no doubt, will be back in a year. In a conference that, as we know, last 10 years has been dominated by either James Madison or Towson. But the Hens always there, always potentially a sleeping giant or a dark horse for an upset.
Absolutely, and you know, we have to mention Elon last year. They were one of the Cinderella stories last year. Made a first-time appearance in the NCAA tournament. Made a first-time appearance in the CAA championship game.
13 wins a season ago for Josh Hexter's Phoenix, as this one trickles out of bounds with inside 3 minutes left. And brought back a decent portion of their starters, but ravaged by injuries, particularly one to Nicole Sinakori, who would have been their second leading scorer behind goal extraordinaire Stephanie Asher. Comes into tonight's contest, 178 career goals as the active leader in the CAA. Delaware again with another turnover, 23rd of the game for the Hens. Here in our final 2:20 of play. 15 of them have been caused by James Madison, but 8 self-inflicted by the Blue Hens have been more or less the theme for why they've only had 16 total shots, 10 of them on goal. Simply haven't been able to take care of the ball enough.
Hallie Dunkel will leave the field. She took a check to the head. That'll be a yellow card on the field for Delaware, but Dunkel running off the field, grabbing her head, hope she's okay.
Madison content to just work this around. All in all, 16 up on the board for the Dukes. It's 6, 7, 8, 9 different players accounting for the 16 goals. Led by 5 from who else? The Conference Player of the Year, playing like one in Kristen Gaudian.
James Madison really just taking this opportunity. I like what they've done. Just use your bench, get legs on the field, give everyone an opportunity to get into the postseason, but most importantly, preserve yourself for Sunday.
90 seconds left from what is a trip back for the Dukes. Right through and almost unabated to the cage. It's another Madison goal, this time Logan Brennan.
Logan Brennan, great dodge, just alley, I love it, north-south. Attacks hard through the 8-meter, great finish, protects her stick. And one of those players that you're gonna see a lot of the next 2 years because she's the type of attacking midfielder that's going to step in seamlessly for the likes of Gaudian, Warden, and Romsberg once they leave JMU.
And Logan Brennan, a sophomore from Kingston, New York. What's her 5th of the year, 7th point?
Less than a minute to go. James Madison has successfully punched their ticket back to Championship Sunday, and I loved it. You know, whenever you talk to most coaches, they tell you, we're not talking about Sunday, we're talking about tonight. And no, Shelly told us when we spoke with her, of course we talk about Sunday. We want to be in the championship.
I said, how much do you want it to be Towson? And they wouldn't quite go there. I was trying to lead her down the path, but she was very diplomatic in her response. Said, whoever it happens to be, that's our goal, just to get to Sunday. But from our perspective, we're hoping for another thriller. Delaware's season will end this afternoon here in Harrisonburg. As the final seconds tick away, Hens will get one in on Harmeyer, and that'll do it. The James Madison Dukes on their home field on graduation weekend end up with 9 different players accounting for what is 17 goals this afternoon, and they will head to Sunday's title game.